friend who backed up, their car into another friend's car, and the friend that I had was much older. Now, I had to let it play out, but I could see right away that the person that backed up into the other person's car was scared because he was older and didn't want to lose his license and probably had a lot of different accidents because he was older. So we all say, as being younger, that that old person shouldn't be on the road. But wait till you're 86 years old, and then they take your license away. When they take that license away, it makes you really feel like you're old. Like, I'm too old to drive. And when you're there, even though they shouldn't be on the road, it's a little bit different when it's you as an individual. And the other people didn't understand and thought that the other person was being thick-headed and stupid, doing it the way they were doing it, but he was just scared. And I think we need, through our jobs, through our environments that we work in, through the different types of people we work with, we can learn an awful lot about who we are socially and how to apply ourselves socially. In other words, if you're a fire element and I'm a water element, how are we going to really get along if you're my boss? So I have to really have to come in and I have to really understand fire by becoming a little bit of fire and then introducing more my personality. And then when that happens, we understand where we're coming from. But if I come in as fire and you're fire, well, you're the boss, so your fire is going to be stronger than my fire, so we're not going to get along. We're just going to be bumping heads. So if I come in with steel, you need to become each other a little bit or succumb a little bit to that element to understand where that element is coming from and stop calling your boss an idiot and realize where they're coming from. Where are they coming from? Why are they always idiots? Because they're being dumped on maybe by somebody else, or you're not seeing the bills that they got to try to keep up with, and they just want you to do more, and you feel they're asking too much. And that's where you have to learn. That's where you learn how to be more social and understand where people are coming from. Like, the world is this giant school ground to help you learn more about your personality and who and what you are. With all the things you have to deal with. Your genetics, your upbringing, your race, your culture, right? Your what element you really are, where you're coming from as you start to discover that. If you're a fire element or an earth element, as metaphorically speaking, as a model, because that's always changing. There's all this stuff that is a part of who you are. Your emotions that get carried away with you. Quick temper, bad temper. Why somebody older still have the same temper that they had when they were 20 years old? Don't you think it's time to change? And we all, I think for the most part in the world, don't want to see the world at war, but yet the world is at war. But if we ask every individual, do you want to see, women and children be raped and people getting heads shot off over land, oil, gold? No. And you ask somebody over there, they've got to say the same thing for the most part, unless they're insane, and say, yeah, kill everybody, and unless most people, 99.9% of people don't want war, but yet that's all we have. Don't want to argue, don't want to have bad relationships, don't want to, hurt somebody, but yet everybody has to prove they're right, and we're all hurting one another, and we're still fighting. To me, we're still like the monkeys chasing the big bananas in a tree, So did you said you led into a question, or did we cover it?
No, you didn't cover it, but you got away from it, but you didn't cover it.
Just trying to get away from it.
That's okay. Yeah.
I don't want to kid him. Go ahead.
Well, in my work experiences, it might be different for a lot of other people, but I have a tendency to get either somewhat apathetic or it's hard to put into words, but one of the most, I think, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most amazing things that you're able to do as an individual, it's not the death I feel coming up when I stand in front of you or stop my heart with a hit. It's the fact that you're always you. And that's the way you're talking about it now, bringing your personality into your job and through all those things. It's much, much harder than you're making it sound as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Everybody'd be doing it if it was.
Yeah, exactly.
If it wasn't hard,
But it's just, when I'm at work, I have a tendency to curb my personality because I know I can be aggressive and I know I can be stubborn as hell, and I put it off to the side and just acquiesce. rather than, you know, be who I am and deal with it that way.
No, that's not really what I'm talking about. You really
Yeah.
can't curb your personality.
I know, and that's the issue I'm having.
Yeah, but if your personality is negative in a way that you feel that your job has become torturous, or that you're really depressed or really sad about it, then that's that feeling of being trapped.
Right.
You know, part of the lesson is being who you don't have to, what you don't want to be. Like, you may have a person you don't get along with, but you have to get along with them because you have to work in that work environment.
Right.
That's curbing your personality or curbing what you have to do.
Well, that's my question then. How do you maintain being who you are
You
and
don't.
manage to get along with that person? Oh, you don't.
You don't.
Oh, all right.
You know, you really have to be who you are in that. It's like, if that person is there, you don't. Why is it important for that person to accept who you are? You just be what you are, but you you could step over the line with that person if you say this,
Right.
or if you say that, or even if you know, it's just not going to
So
work.
it's more about awareness than.
Yeah, it's about becoming more aware of who and what you are. It's about
Okay.
learning how to socially interact, and then what would it take for you to understand where that person is coming from, or instead of he or she having to understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
We always think where we are is the right place to be. You know, we don't really see that. Well, what am I doing that's making this person not, be cool with me?
Right.
You know, or this, and sometimes you can't be cool with a person. Sometimes that person, you need to step up to the plate, and especially if your job is on the line, or if they're saying things about you that, it's causing problems.
Yeah.
But there's ways of handling that as well.
Right.
And most of the ways I see people handle that are usually aggressive and pointing out instead of taking care of it in a professional manner.
Mm-hmm.
And following different channels to make the person realize. And it's always worked for me when I've done that. Except when I was younger, I was violent, with people, and that never really worked. It really never did. Even if they were intimidated by you or afraid of you, the violence just never really worked. This is really handling things in a whole different perspective. And then, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about yourself? How did you evolve as an individual from that?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't go into a job thinking that you're just going to everything's going to be roses. I don't think anybody thinks that. No matter how much money you are or what career you're in, even if you have your own business, you have to deal with buyers, people you're selling your product to, people that are buying your product, people that are, sales people coming in, the companies, the electric company, the gas company, and you have to deal with so many different personalities even in your own business.
But it's hard to be yourself in your job. I mean, also it's not useful for the job.
No, being yourself in your job means bringing your personality into it, but finding you can't go to your job and be yourself because you have to fit within. If they tell you you're a lawyer, and this is what you have to do as a lawyer, you have to fit that personality.
Right.
But yet, if you take a bunch of doctors and you put them in a room, a bunch of lawyers and put them in a room, and a bunch of construction workers and put them in the room, you could pretty much see who the lawyers are, who the doctors are, and who the construction workers are. So zebras hang with zebras, bears
Okay.
hang with bears, and elephants hang with elephants, What I'm saying is that personality, that job structure that you do, isn't who you are.
Okay. So let me just try to put this in my own terms. What you're saying is you don't have to necessarily take your identity from the profession you've chosen.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where people feel trapped.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I
I'm a baker. I do that for a living, but I'm not a baker. That's what I do for a living. I'm a martial artist, right? I do the martial arts. I don't do that for a living, but I'm not a martial artist. It's all vehicles. Everything, your job, your relationship, everything's a vehicle to take you to understand more about who you are soulfully.
So at the end of the day, you are what you are, but you may do all these different things.
And you're always constantly discovering.
And evolving and progressing.
Right.
Okay.